listen to this. Headline is this: you can tell if someone doesn't have a mind's eye by looking at their pupils. Yeah, right? Okay, here we go. Now listen to this. This gets pretty wild. This is, for most people, answering questions like, okay, here we go. Let's do the thought experiment first. Let's do a thought experiment straight from the article on IFL Science. Imagine a ball sitting on a table. Now, imagine some person comes in and pushes that ball, making it roll across the surface of the table until it reaches the edge and falls to the floor. Simple, right? Yeah, no problem. Now, here's the question. What color hair did the person have? The next question. What color was the ball? All right, so after you've seen an image of this, a video or whatever, it's typically easy for you to sort of just reassess that image that you saw in your mind's eye, maybe have some sort of a recall and be able to see the color of the ball or the color of the person's hair that pushed the ball off the table, right? Just a very simple example. But what ends up happening with this gets even more weird, is that some people can't. They don't have a sort of mind's eye recollection of things. So here we go. For most people, answering those questions would have been something between easy peasy and doable. But for a small number, maybe only 1 to 3% of us, it would have been literally impossible. That's because they have what's known as aphantasia, a complete lack of visual imagination, or the mind's eye. Now, if you're somebody who already has a diagnosis of aphantasia, chances are you had to go through a diagnostic test much like the one above, right? Rolling the ball off, somebody comes in, what color is the ball, what color is their hair, something like this, right? But a new study recently published in the journal eLife has found a new way of confirming the condition by measuring pupil dilation caused by imaginary darkness. What a term. Imaginary darkness. Now, look, I was going to name the show tonight Imaginary Darkness just because I love that term so much. I don't even know what the hell it means, but how hot is that? Imaginary darkness. Broadcasting out into the digital darkness from my imaginary darkness, troubled minds. Anyway, quote, our results, this is back to the article, our results show an exciting new objective method to measure visual imagery and the first physiological evidence of aphantasia, reported senior author Joel Pearson. We are now close to an objective physiological test, like a blood test, to see if someone truly has it. Currently, aphantasia can be a pretty difficult phenomenon to measure, and it's not hard to see why. Take the exercise above, for example. Maybe you could visualize the ball, but not the person. Does that count as having this affliction known as aphantasia? Or perhaps you thought you were acing it until we asked about color. And are you now wondering if it's normal to only imagine things in black and white? Maybe you could imagine the ball, but not really visualize it, and are now left wondering whether that's what we meant, or if everyone else is basically surrounded voluntarily by hallucinations most of the day. What they're saying here is it's not an actual exact science, but they're able to, through this new method, be able to measure pupil dilation when they're asking these sorts of questions and, determine if they actually have this mind's eye. What's up there? Shout out to the Night Stalker out there. How you doing, buddy? Him and I were actually talking. He's called in the past quite often. A great dude, Derek in Massachusetts. And he said one day, this was a while back, but he said, can you imagine not having an internal monologue, right? Like me, like basically what you're hearing in my brain, like coming out of my mouth, it's just a lot of practice. I'm not amazing. I'm pretty good at this, but it's a lot of practice. It's as your brain thinks, your mouth spits it out, right? It's a simple thing. But when I'm not speaking, I still also have an internal monologue happening, in the sense that if somebody's speaking, even if I'm not answering, I'm sort of processing and sort of like answering, let's say telepathically, right? If somebody asks a question hypothetically, I'm thinking about it and it's coming through my brain, whether I'm speaking or not, right? And so my thoughts, in this case, you hear through my mouth, right? But again, in that sense, back to the idea of a personal monologue, what about this idea of the mind's eye? If there are some people that do or do not have that personal monologue, like when it's quiet and there's nothing going on, are you thinking about something? Number one, right? Or number two, are you actually visualizing something? And can you? And so again, they're saying this this affliction known as aphantasia is something where you cannot have that recall, that vision recall of what you just saw. Okay, even if it's not a video, if you saw something in nature, let's say you saw a car accident, right? And God forbid, let's say in the car accident, this hypothetical car accident, nobody got hurt. Okay, we'll start there because I don't want anybody to get hurt, even in the periphery of maybe suggesting it might happen. Okay, but in the next sense, it's like, okay, so you saw it, you witnessed this fender bender, but then you walk away, right? And you're trying to remember the details of it, and you can't have that recall of the vision in your head. You can't recall the color of the cars. You can't recall what the people look like. And I guess this is a real thing for a small percentage of people.